Have you ever seen a general manager play chess while everyone else is playing checkers? Because what Kent Hughes is orchestrating in Montreal right now isn't just impressive. It's absolutely brilliant. And I'm genuinely in awe of how this man is systematically building a championship contender while making it look effortless, elegant, and downright masterful. The Montreal Canadiens aren't just rebuilding anymore, folks. They're executing one of the most sophisticated franchise transformations in modern NHL history. And Hughes is pulling strings that most general managers don't even know exist. Every move, every decision, every calculated risk is part of a grand design that's becoming more beautiful and more apparent with each passing month. Let's start with the foundation Hughes inherited and how he's transformed complete organizational chaos into a model of strategic excellence. When he took over, the Canadiens were a mess of aging contracts, depleted prospect pools, and a fan base that had lost faith in management's ability to make competent decisions. The cupboard was bare, the salary cap was a nightmare, and the future looked genuinely bleak for one of hockey's most storied franchises. But Hughes didn't panic, didn't make desperate moves for short-term gratification, and didn't succumb to the pressure that destroys most general managers in similar situations. Instead, he implemented a methodical approach that prioritized long-term success over immediate satisfaction, and the results are starting to speak for themselves in ways that should make every other front office take notes. The Kirby Dach acquisition was the first sign that Hughes was operating on a different level than his predecessors. While other teams were chasing expensive veterans or flashy free agents, Hughes identified a young, talented center who was undervalued in Chicago due to injury concerns and developmental questions. He didn't just acquire talent. He acquired potential at a reasonable price point, setting the stage for everything that followed. The Nick Suzuki contract extension demonstrated Hughes' ability to secure core pieces while maintaining financial flexibility for future moves, rather than waiting until Suzuki hit free agency and potentially pricing himself out of Montreal's range. Hughes locked him up early at what now looks like exceptional value given his continued development and leadership qualities. But the real genius became apparent with Hughes' approach to the trade deadline and his willingness to be both buyer and seller simultaneously. The Sean Monahan acquisition and subsequent flip showed incredible market awareness. Hughes recognized that Monahan's value would peak at the deadline and positioned Montreal to benefit from that appreciation while also improving their roster in the short term. The Patrik Laine trade might be Hughes' masterpiece to date, and here's why it's so brilliant from multiple angles. First, he identified a player whose talent level far exceeded his trade value due to injury concerns and off-ice questions. Second, he structured the deal to minimize risk while maximizing reward potential. Third, he addressed a specific organizational need, elite goal-scoring ability, without compromising future flexibility. Laine brings a kind of pure shooting talent that can be taught, developed, or replaced through system adjustments. When healthy and engaged, he's capable of single-handedly changing games with his release and accuracy from virtually anywhere in the offensive zone. But Hughes didn't just acquire a goal scorer. He acquired a player whose best years aligned perfectly with Montreal's competitive timeline. The salary retention aspect of the Laine deal showcases Hughes' understanding of modern NHL economics. By having Columbus retain salary, Montreal gains access to elite talent at a manageable cap hit, creating space for additional moves while maintaining roster flexibility. It's the kind of creative structuring that separates competent general managers from exceptional ones. What's particularly impressive about Hughes' approach is how he's balanced immediate improvement with long-term sustainability. The Canadiens aren't mortgaging their future for present success, but they're also not content to wait indefinitely for prospect to develop. They're accelerating their timeline without sacrificing their foundation, which is incredibly difficult to accomplish in today's salary cap environment. The prospect development under Hughes' leadership has been equally remarkable. Players like Lane Hudson, David Reinbacher, and Ivan Demidov represent different approaches to talent acquisition, draft excellence, international scouting, and development patience that collectively create organizational depth most teams can only dream about achieving. Hughes has also demonstrated exceptional market timing with his asset management. The Tyler Toffoli trade generated significant return value at exactly the right moment. The Ben Chiarot deadline deal brought back premium assets for a rental player. These weren't lucky accidents. They were calculated decisions based on careful market analysis and perfect execution timing. The culture transformation might be Hughes' most underrated accomplishment. Montreal went from an organization where players seemed disengaged and management appeared rudderless to a franchise that attracts talent and generates genuine excitement about its future direction. That kind of cultural shift requires leadership, vision, and consistent decision-making that builds trust throughout the organization. Martin St. Louis hiring as head coach perfectly exemplifies Hughes' strategic thinking. Rather than choosing a veteran coach with questionable systems or a retread with outdated philosophies, Hughes identified a former elite player with modern hockey understanding and player development expertise. St. Louis represents both credibility and innovation, exactly what a rebuilding franchise needs from its leadership. The goaltending situation shows Hughes' willingness to be patient when necessary, while remaining opportunistic when chances arise. Rather than overpaying for veteran netminders or rushing young prospects, he's maintained flexibility while searching for the right long-term solution. It's disciplined asset management that prevents panic decisions while keeping options open. Hughes has also mastered the art of managing expectations while building genuine excitement. He's honest about the timeline, realistic about challenges, but consistently demonstrates progress that validates fan optimism. This balance prevents the boom-bust cycles that destroy organizational credibility and create unrealistic pressure on developing players. The international scouting improvements under Hughes represent another significant organizational upgrade. The Demidov selection and various European prospects show expanded global awareness that previous Montreal management seemed to lack. In today's NHL, teams that limit themselves geographically create competitive disadvantages that Hughes clearly understood and addressed. What makes Hughes' work even more impressive is how he's accomplished this transformation while operating in one of hockey's most pressure-packed markets. Montreal media and fans demand excellence, scrutinize every decision, and have little patience for extended rebuilding periods. Yet Hughes has maintained a strategic vision despite external pressure that might force other general managers into suboptimal decisions. The salary cap management has been particularly masterful. Hughes inherited a mess of bad contracts and limited flexibility, yet he's created space for impact additions while maintaining future maneuverability. The dead money from previous regimes could have been crippling, but Hughes found creative ways to work around those constraints without sacrificing competitive integrity. Looking ahead, Hughes has positioned Montreal for sustained success rather than brief competitive windows. The prospect pipeline ensures continued talent influx. The salary cap structure allows for strategic additions, and the organizational culture attracts players who want to be part of something special. It's franchise building at its finest, executed by someone who clearly understands both immediate needs and long-term sustainability. The most remarkable aspect might be how Hughes makes complex roster construction look effortless. Every move seems obvious in retrospect, but required incredible foresight, market awareness, and strategic thinking to execute properly. He's simultaneously playing multiple games, managing current roster needs, developing future talent, maintaining salary cap flexibility, and building organizational culture, while making all appear seamless. Kent Hughes isn't just rebuilding the Montreal Canadiens. He's demonstrating how modern NHL franchise construction should be approached. His work represents a masterclass in general management that other organizations should study, emulate, and respect. The results speak for themselves, but the process is equally impressive for anyone who appreciates strategic excellence in professional sports. What's your take on Hughes' incredible work in Montreal? Do you think he's the best general manager in hockey right now? Or am I getting carried away by the recent success? Drop your thoughts in the comments, because I'm genuinely fascinated by how he's transformed this organization. And smash that like button if you appreciate witnessing true strategic brilliance in action.